Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a My 2 Cent video for this week, for the week of May 7th to the 13th and all. And I do want to say, though, that next week there's a possibility I might not do a My 2 Cent video, mostly because something sort of came up that I'm hoping to try to address as soon as possible. So it's a certain thing that I have to deal with, though, so there's a very good chance there might not be a My 2 Cent video for next week, because this kind of takes priority to a certain degree, though. So I'm hoping maybe I could try to squeeze one in for next Friday, though, and have the video up by Saturday, though. But if it doesn't, though, then it's obviously because there's something that I have to deal with it, and it might take much longer than I had originally anticipated, though. But anyway, we got 4 stories to cover, including a interesting trailer that was shown on Steam of a game called Mouse, which the concept of it, though, looks kind of interesting, and it's worth taking. It's something that caught my attention, though. We also want to talk about Nintendo has released their financial reports, though, which won't say Nintendo is doomed, but it's clear it might be an indication that the Switch right now may have already hit the ceiling and all that. We also wanted to be talking about supposedly, though, that basically an update on the whole Microsoft and Activision deal, as they apparently have hired a lawyer that has dealt with regulators in the EU, with the possibility that the EU might give the go-ahead on this deal, though, and reports coming out that claiming that Konami and Sony might be collaborating with certain exclusive deals ranging from Silent Hill to Metal Gear and all. If you're interested in where I got the source of these information, links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. But before we get started, though, I like to do what I like to call the quick My 2 Cents. Stories that kind of caught my attention, but I'm not going to go into a huge amount of details, though. The first one is that Sony seems to have shut down one of the studios. I think Genie Studio has been shut down, though. These are studios that do like some of the smaller titles and all, and it is a little bit unfortunate to be exact, though, because as much as I enjoy the AAA games that Sony can put out, though, I thought God of War Ragnarok is a good game and all, I just think that you can't just rely on AAA games alone. You need to have some of these smaller titles as well. And it's a little bit unfortunate they have decided to shut the studio down. Hopefully these employees can find work and everything like that and all. But yeah, very unfortunate that the studio got shut down and all. We also learned that apparently an ESRB rating has appeared for the upcoming Bethesda Microsoft game Starfield and all. The fact that it's getting the M rated, as what's been reported, though, doesn't really surprise me, especially when you look at basically past Bethesda games. They've gotten, like the M rated before, so this really isn't a huge surprise. But what has caught some folks' attention, though, is some of the description of why they get an M rated, and I kid you not, I read about this and I did not believe this is, I thought, wow, this is weird. It's that apparently there is a mention of jetpack sex. Why that is even mentioned is beyond me and anything like that, though. But the fact that the game is getting an M rated, from what I've been hearing, though, isn't really all that surprising considering past Bethesda titles and all. We also learned that Capcom has reported another record year of game sales and all, which certainly is good. I mean, the company's been doing very well with a lot of their games. Monster Hunter has been doing very well. The Resident Evil games, especially the remakes, have been doing very well, especially with Resident Evil 4 Remake and that RE engine, though. I personally think they need to remake 5 and 6, though. I know some people might disagree with that, but I think 5 and 6 should get the remake treatment, though. I mean, yes, I know Resident Evil 3 Remake is sort of mixed for some folks. I don't think it was a bad game, but I think it was kind of disappointed, though. But I definitely think 5 and 6 should definitely get the remake treatment, at least from my perspective and all. But either way, great that Capcom is doing very well financially, though. We also learned that Private Division, the publisher the publisher that published The Outer Worlds from Obsidian before being purchased by Microsoft, has signed a new action-adventure game from Game Freak, the folks who basically are known for the Pokemon games, though. Now, as of right now, there's been no video or anything like that outside of a concept art that has been released, though. And from what I've been understanding, the game might be a while. I think I've been hearing possibly maybe the game coming out in 2026, though. So if that's the case, we probably have ways to go before this game officially comes out, though. Could it be good? I mean, it's possible. Game Freak has done games outside of Pokemon, though, but I've also heard that they've gotten sort of mixed response at the same time, though. So we'll see what this new action-adventure game that they're working on. Hopefully, maybe we'll hear more about it, maybe sometime this year or next year or something like that, though. I am curious to see what this new action-adventure game they could be working on, though. We also learned that Marvelous Games is basically preparing to have their showcase later this month, though, so I'm kind of curious to see what Marvelous has to show, though. And we're also learning that Devolver Digital is planning to host their digital stream in June, though. I'm curious to see if they could pull off, their bizarre wackiness kind of streams that they are very, very much well known for, or their anti-EA type of showing and all that stuff, though. It's going to be interesting to see how they pull this off, especially since E3 is not happening this year and all, but I am very curious to see what Devolver Digital has to show this year, though. We also learned that Hollow Knight Silksong, that was originally supposed to come out in the first half of 2023, has now been pushed back, though. The developer wants to make the game as good as it could be, though. While it is a little bit unfortunate that the game has been delayed, though, I do hope that the delay is well worth it and that it does give the game some time, in the oven to make sure everything is ironed out and everything like that. Obviously, it's not a big AAA type of a game, though, but still, sometimes a game getting delayed can be a good thing, though. Yes, it can sometimes be a negative thing, and can be somewhat of a double-edged sword and all that. So, but still, very nice that they are basically, still working on it. Hopefully, it will get released sometime later this year, though. We also got a report from the Nikkei that seems to indicate that Nintendo's next system supposedly seems to be progressing well, though. Now, obviously, nothing is confirmed at this time. We'll have to wait and see when Nintendo does reveal the system. There are reports indicating that it might come out next year, too. The announcement of it might come a little bit later than when it was with the Switch at the time, though. But we'll see what this next system might be, though. There have been reports of Nintendo mentioning there will be no new hardware this year, to be exact. Maybe next year. We'll find out, though. Again, we've heard these reports before, though, and sometimes they are spot on. Other times they are not, though. But time will ultimately tell. But I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo is working on the successor to the Nintendo Switch. So that's not really shocking at all. We also learned that Piggyback has announced the official guide for Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. They are planning to release it this June now. As some of you are aware, Tears of the Kingdom has just came out this week. I recently was able to get my copy at it from GameStop and all. It's a little unfortunate we have to wait for the player's guide. It might take a little bit longer, though. But in either case, though, I'm sure even without the guide, I'm sure people are just trying the game out right now. Though I've been seeing the reviews, it got a perfect score, getting a perfect score in most places, though. But for those who are hoping to pick up the player guide, though, you're going to have to wait until June. In the meantime, you'll probably have to look up, any FAQs or anything online. And last but not least, speaking of Tears of the Kingdom, there was an ad that Nintendo of Australia put out, though, that I thought was very clever for the release of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. What makes it kind of clever, at least from my perspective, though, is the fact that here you have sort of like your average Joe going to a 9-to-5 workplace, though, and after a rough day, come home and play, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, kind of unwinding and relax, even playing a little bit on his Switch on the bus, maybe towards work and everything like that. So it's a very, very clever ad, and to me, it kind of shows that basically gaming has sort of evolved, though. It's become more, at least how I'm seeing it, more mainstream than it was like 30 to 40 years ago, to be exact. So I have to give credit to Nintendo of Australia for doing this ad. I definitely think it's really good. I like how it's very down to earth and everything like that. And in the movie and TV side of the Quick My 2 Cent, though, we are getting reports about that the Super Mario Brothers movie might be appearing on streaming service very soon. Originally, there was a rumor that came out that claimed that it was going to be out on May 9th, but that got deleted though. But now a new report seemed to indicate that the movie may be coming out, supposedly on May 16th. Apparently someone posted on Instagram that says, quote, from Optimus TV that reads, quote, "Let's a go, catch the Super Mario Bros. Movie which follows Mario and Luigi on a whirlwind adventure through the Mushroom Kingdom as he unites with a cast of familiar characters to defeat Bowser. Optimus TV consumers can watch it beginning 5/16 though." So again, it's basically referred to as on demand though, so you have to pay to watch it though. Spectrum TV has it also listed the Mario movie as being available on demand at the same date. At this time though, no official word from Nintendo or Illumination or Universal at this moment, so we'll find out next week if that turns out to be true though. But I'm pretty sure there are those who saw this movie plenty of times are looking forward to getting it either on demand or waiting for the Blu-ray to come out to get any of the extra features though. No doubt the movie has been a box office success for Nintendo and Universal though. We also learned that HBO's Max The Last of Us was one of the most watched stream shows ever though. That certainly is good. I did enjoy season excuse me. I did enjoy season 1 though, and I'm definitely looking forward to when season 2 does happen, to be exact though. I'm very curious to see how they handle season 2, since it's going to probably use story. Basically, we're going to be seeing, The Last of Us Part 2 and all. But in either case, glad to see the show did very well and become the most streamed show ever. And it kind of highlights, along with the Mario movie, how far, we've come when it comes to movies and TV shows based off of video games though. We also learned that the Marvel Blade has been delayed for the time being due to basically the ongoing writer's strike. As some of you all know, excuse me, Marvel is preparing to bring Blade into the MCU, which I think that is great and all, but to hear it kind of get delayed though is a little bit unfortunate though. Hopefully, the writer's strike and all, hopefully they could come to an agreement to end the strike or everything like that. So hopefully that is the case though. We also learned that there are reports indicating that Marvel may be planning to replace Jonathan Majors though, who played Krang in the Ant-Man and the Wasp, the Quantumania, if I'm saying that, and the upcoming Marvel's Avengers of Krang Dynasty though. This all stems from basically the allegation that he is facing though, supposedly that he hit a woman or something like that though. And there have now been reports coming out indicating though that other women have come up and forward and making the same allegation too. Now granted, nothing has been official from Marvel at this time though. We don't know if they are replacing Jonathan Majors or not though, but it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility. It's definitely not out of the realm of possibility that he could technically get replaced, but we'll have to wait and see what happens if that does happen or not though. We also saw photos that have been shown of what is going to be replacing HBO Max with just Max though, and I mean it's not really anything special. All it is just take the HBO out of HBO Max though. Personally, I think it's somewhat ridiculous that they're just calling it Max now. I think some of it has to do, they want to appeal to families as well though. I'm kind of mixed on it though, but either case though, hopefully this doesn't impact any of the shows or anything on there for those who enjoyed what's being offered on HBO Max and all. We also learned that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3's box office milestone seems to be doing very well. As of this recording, it has so far topped $300 million globally, basically propelling Disney across the $2 billion mark worldwide though. That is certainly nice though. On Monday it added an estimated 29.4 million worldwide. and 8.9 domestically, 20.5 million offshore though. So that certainly is nice though. I didn't get a chance to see the movie yet though. I wanted to see it last week, but obviously, let's just say car issues that I had to deal with though. So obviously I couldn't see it last week though. I'm hoping to see it this week to give you my review / thought on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And last but not least though, we have a report that now seems to confirm that Disney Plus will start adding Hulu content, as basically Disney is preparing to merge Hulu and Disney Plus together. Now it is reported though that basically you'll still have, if you want to do this, there'll still be the standalone app for Hulu and Disney Plus if you still prefer that, but they're trying to do an all-in-one approach. They're kind of seeing how things play out, especially with HBO Max, and basically how they're changing that from HBO Max to just Max in general. And it's also been reported that the supposedly the ad-free, I think it's either ad-free or the ad one, you might see a price increase, which, while is unfortunate, I'm not as hugely shocked by this at all, as we've seen price increases from other streaming services, to be exact though. But yeah, I can see why some might be a little bit disappointed with it though. But in either case though, I still have Disney Plus and Hulu Plus on my Roku and all that stuff, and I think this is great though. I don't think it's going to change much, but it's still not a bad thing at all though, at least from how I'm seeing it though. Okay, with the quick my 2 cent part now done, we'll get started with our first story, and this one has to do with Konami and Sony, as there seems to be a report indicating that they might be working together though. Now, Konami has been known to support Sony in the past with some of their games, whether it's classics like the Metal Gear Solid series to even, Castlevania Sympathy of the Night though. But with Konami though, they've kind of gone a little bit of the wayside. Some of it has been questionable decisions that they have made in the past to some of their quality games like Metal Gear Survivor, Contra Rogue Corps, Contra Rogue Corps, to some of their most popular developers, including Kojima, if I'm saying this correctly, Kojima, have left Konami and all. So, but we have seen Konami try to make a comeback to sort of be back in sort of the gaming business and all that stuff. And we have seen them done certain trailers, such as, their upcoming some of the Silent Hill games and all. Well, now there seems to be a report indicated, with an update though, that Konami may be preparing to show some stuff at what many are believing to be a upcoming, Sony showcase. Don't know if it's going to be like a state of play approach or not, but that seems to be what the rumors seem to be reporting on. In an article from Push Square with an update though, it reads, quote though, and this is the original article, sprinkle a little bit more fuel on the flaming PS Showcase log fire. Following on from this weekend's social media speculation, which was suggested Sony may be signing up time exclusive for a trio of Konami classics, Video Game Chronicle editor Andy Robertson has attached his name to the rapid multiplying rumors, claiming he's heard a live stream is happening in the usual May or early June windows with Konami stuff involved. This has been in line with what we've been hearing for a long time now, although the Japanese giant is yet to confirm anything. Remember, while it did host a series of State of Play in 2022, it skipped the annual tentpole E3-style press conference entirely, and as a result, there are vanishing few first-party projects currently announced. We know Marvel's Spider-Man 2 is expected this September, but even the nature of that remains a secret since the first trailer a few years ago. There are many games in development for PS5 that does feel time for a proper coming out party, but this remains speculated until Sony official date to an event. Given the current engagement strategy with enthusiasts, we doubt announcing anything until days before the show itself. So even though we're key deep in May, don't expect confirmation for a couple more weeks at least though. And it also has an update which basically has one from Giant Bomb's Giants Bomb's Jeff Grubbs, though, that reads, quote, "Speculation continues unobstructed without an official confirmation from Sony. Giant Jeff Grubbs, who's beaten the May PS Showcase drum for a fair few months, has nailed down a week of May 25th window for an anticipated event." He had, "The timing of the PS Showcase is right as of now." He continued, "I said week of May 25th because that's probably the latest that week it could happen, but it could happen earlier. I just don't want to say the week of May 21st and then people get mad when it doesn't happen on a Sunday." Clearly, Grubbs has some kind of source collaborated this window, but as we mentioned previously, it's unlikely Sony will pin down a date until much closer to the time. So whether Sony has that showcase whether that's happening the May 25th or not remains to be seen at this time, but I wouldn't completely rule it out though. But as far as the Konami thing, it seems this is what we've been hearing so far though. And basically it says, rumors have been swirling about some kind of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater revival for several years now, and podcast host Nick Baker revealed then this weekend after claiming the classic could reemerge as an upcoming PlayStation showcase with some form of PS5 exclusivity attached. As in custody from Internet Insider, Baker tempered the community by stating his source is uncertain, and it's worth noting nearly 2 years ago he was confident of an infamous comeback before developer Sucker Punch shot those stories back down. However, Windows Central editor Drez Corden was quickly to jump on the speculation, says he heard similar Metal Gear Solid exclusivity. In a follow-up tweet, he added, "Just heard Sony landed a deal with Konami for Silent Hill, Metal Gear, and even a new Castlevania. All seem rather uncertainly, doesn't it though? Arguably the biggest story here, if accurate, it's not necessarily the PS5 exclusivity, but that Konami may be interested in making games again." So basically, there's a possibility that Konami may have signed a deal with Sony to bring some exclusive games and all that. Now, whether this happens or not remains to be seen, though. I mean, Sony and Konami have worked together before in the past. A lot of their games have been exclusive on the PlayStation, like the Metal Gear series and all, although some of the series has also made their way onto other systems, though, like a remake of the game was done, Metal Gear Solid Twin Snake on the GameCube, to Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater has made its way over to, the Nintendo 3DS, so it's appeared on other systems, but the series is mostly known for being on the PlayStation system, to be exact, though. So, is this rumor true? It's a possibility. I'm not 100% saying it is, though, but it certainly would not be out of the realm of possibility considering Sony has signed exclusivity deals to bring their games over to their system, like they did with Square Enix and also. Definitely not out of the realm of possibility. Whether this is true or not remains to be seen. So we'll have to wait and see. Maybe we'll find out on the week of May 25th whether that showcase is happening, and if it is, whether this exclusivity deal that Sony has with Konami is true or not. So overall, I would say definitely not out of the realm of possibility of this showcase happening around May 25th, though. And definitely not out of the realm of possibility that Sony basically signed an exclusivity deal to basically with Sony in terms of for the PlayStation 5. Whether it's true or not, that remains to be seen at this time, though. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2. And this one has to do with Microsoft on the Activision Blizzard deal and where they might be heading next with this after what happened with the CMA when they blocked it in the UK. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of my 2 cent for the video for this week. And for this one, we're going to be taking a look at the Microsoft Activision deal, as it appears as though Microsoft is really pushing to try to get this deal through and all. Now, obviously, one of the big shockers that came out of this was when it was reported that the CMA was going to block the acquisition of Activision Blizzard over the cloud gaming situation. This was kind of a bit surprising considering the fact that earlier reports seemed to indicate that the deal was going to go through and that the CMA was happy with some of the decision Microsoft said to them and all. So that was kind of a bit of a surprise for a lot of folks out there. Well, it seems as though Microsoft and Activision are working to try to overturn the CMA's decision, though, and have recently hired a lawyer and all. Meanwhile, we're also hearing that the CMA is adding further restrictions against them to even the EU might be approving this deal and all. In a first article from Video Game Chronicles, it reads that, quote, the Telegraph reported via Yahoo Finances that the company has now hired Daniel Bread, KC, and plans to launch an appeal at the UK Competitor Appeal Tribunal in the matter of days. Bread, if I'm saying this name correctly, who is described in the article as a leading competitor barrister, has a reputation of overturning large-scale decisions made by EU regulators, though. He represented Apple after the EU demanded the company pay 13 billion, I think, euros in taxes because it claimed Ireland had offered it illegal state aid. Apple went on to win the appeal. He also represented Intel last year in a successful attempt to overturn a decade-old 1.1 billion euro fine after the EU claimed it was unfairly dominated the microchip market. Microsoft now hopes Brea would be similarly successful in appealing the CMA's decision to block the $69 billion acquisition of Activision Blizzard, though. So it's going to be very interesting to see if this lawyer can really pull it off or anything like that. That said, though, it is worth pointing out that Britain is no longer, part of the UK, courtesy of Brexit and all. So whether he could succeed or not, that remains to be seen at this time, though. It will be very interesting to see if the CMA's decision does get overturned, though. Although they are saying the odds are slim, but we'll see what happens, whether that is the case or anything like that. Meanwhile, the CMA has already added further restrictions against Microsoft and Activision Blizzard in terms of the firm needs to seek permission before they can acquire an interest in each other, though. The report from GameIndustry.biz indicates, quote, an internal order published yesterday by the organization details new restrictions on either firm acquiring interest in the others. Under the CMA's orders, Microsoft and Activision will need to secure prior written consent from regulators before each one, quote, acquiring an interest in the company or any of its subsidiary, investing in each other's development studio, acquire an interest in another business that holds an interest in the company, holds an opinion to acquire an interest in either of the above. The CMA said these restrictions have been added for the purpose of preventing oppressive actions from either Microsoft or Activision Blizzard. Obviously, Microsoft and Activision Blizzard are not going to be happy about this, and I wouldn't be surprised if this adds to one of their reasons to appeal the deal, though. Now, despite the CMA basically blocking the deal, it seems, and again, assuming this is 100% correct, though, it does sound like the EU is basically moving ahead to clearing this deal. This comes from an article from Reuters, though, that indicates, according to them, they're saying, quote, EU antitrust regulators are set to approve Microsoft's $69 billion acquisition of Activision next week, with May 15 as the likeliest date, people familiar with the matter said. The European Commission immediately clearance comes nearly 3 weeks after UK competitor authorities blocked the deal, the biggest ever deal in gaming, over concerns that would hinder competition in cloud gaming. The EU antitrust enforce is expected to clear the acquisition after Microsoft agreed to license deals with cloud streaming rivals, including NVIDIA's, Ukraine's Boosteroid, if I'm saying the name correctly, and Japan's UBITUS. Other people with direct knowledge of the matter told Reuters in March. It also has an agreement with Nintendo to bring Activision Call of Duty to its gaming platform should the acquisition goes through. U.S. distributor Valve Corp, owner of the world's largest video game distributor platform Steam, declined a contract saying it trusts Microsoft. The commission is set a May 22nd deadline for its decision. Decline to comment on it. Now, could Reuters be wrong on this? Could they actually decide what we saw with the CMA, basically decide to block the deal? Yes, that is basically possible. I'm not going to rule that out, though. People who are familiar with the situation could be absolutely wrong on this. But at the same time, Reuters could be correct on this, though. And should the EU decide to go through with this deal, should they decide to, it will be very interesting to see what this means for, Microsoft appealing the CMA's decision, and what this means for, say, them fighting the FTC that wants to take them to court over basically this acquisition deal, to be exact, though. So it's going to be really interesting should the EU should the EU decide to approve this deal and all. So that's going to be really interesting to see. We'll see what happens next week if the EU regulators make their decision, though. Obviously, Microsoft wants the deal to go through in the EU, though. So I wouldn't be surprised if they say no, but I wouldn't be surprised if what Reuters is saying is true and it turns out to be a yes, though. So we'll find out for certain, though. We know there are some folks like Michael Patchard that are saying that he believes the deal will still go through, though. Yes, Michael Patchard does have a history of saying things wrong before in the past, though. Nintendo should go third party while they work on their next system and all. But again, it is worth pointing out he is looking at this from a regulator and investor perspective, though. So he could be wrong on this, but he could also be right on this as well. So overall, though, Microsoft and Activision are not giving up on this, though. Obviously, they are hiring someone to appeal the CMA's decision on this, though, in the UK. And assuming what Reuters is saying is correct, though, it looks like the deal might be approved in the EU. Again, Reuters could be wrong on this. I don't deny that, though, but I also won't deny the fact that they could also be right on this as well. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 3. And this one has to do with Nintendo releasing their financial report, though. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of my 2 cent video, and for this one we're going to be taking a look at Nintendo's financial report. So they obviously released their financial report for this week, though, and I would say there's both good news and somewhat bad news in a way, though. In terms of on the good news side of it, it does seem we now have a report of how many Nintendo Switch units have sold to its software, though, and some of this is kind of good. On the hardware side of it, though, it has so far as of as of March 31st, 2023, it has sold 125.62 million units sold worldwide, which is definitely good, though, but short of the 154.2 million units the Nintendo DS has garnished, though. So not necessarily there, but it certainly is getting close. But on the software side of it, though, apparently this one's a big one. They have now sold 1,036.15 million units sold worldwide on the software side. I mean, that is, I would say, very, very impressive for the Nintendo Switch. The closest one right now would have to be the DS at 948.76 million units of software sold, with the Wii being at 921.85 million units of software sold in third place, though. So the fact that the Switch was able to achieve that is pretty impressive and everything like that. In terms of the top selling units, though, on the Nintendo Switch as of May 31st, 2023, we have Mario Kart 8 Deluxe at 53.79 million units sold. Animal Crossing New Horizon at 42.21 million units sold though. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate at 31.09 million units sold. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild at 29.81 million units sold. I'm very curious to see how Tears of the Kingdom does when Nintendo releases their next financial report. I'm very curious to see just how, if it will make it onto that list. Pokemon Sword and Pokemon Shield at 25.82 million units sold. Super Mario Odyssey at 25.76 million units sold. Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet at 22.10 million units sold. Again, I don't know individually though. Super Mario Party at 19.14 million units sold though. New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe at 15.41 million units sold. And finally, Ring Fit Adventure at 15.38 million units sold though. I do wonder with some of these Mario titles outside of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, because why not, that continues to sell very well. I wonder if some of that has to do with the success of the Mario movie, whether that gave a bit of a boost in some of the sales of these games and all. So very interesting indeed in terms of the units sold, but obviously the big one is how many software, over like a little over 1,000 software sold on the Nintendo Switch. So certainly good news there. However, while there are while it's certainly very good news indeed, that doesn't mean that it's necessarily sunshine and rainbows, as there are now reports that Switch momentum has kind of slowed down, which could be a good indication of has the Nintendo Switch sort of hit the ceiling right now, hit the ceiling so far though. In an article from Nintendo Life, it reads that, quote, With the release of Nintendo's financial results for the fiscal year ending March 2023, the company has reported a slowdown in sales for Switch after missing its original sales target of 21 million and barely missing its revised target of 18 million, selling 17.97 million units between April 1st of 2022 to March 31st of 2023. According to Bloomberg and Japan Times, the Switch sales are slowing down faster than previously expected, and in a call after the results were published, Nintendo's president Furukawa reportedly called this past holiday season disappointing. This year's Switch hardware sales declined overall by 22.1%. For the fiscal year ending in March 2024, Nintendo has lowered its forecast further, aiming to sell 15 million Switch consoles. That's down a further 16.5% on fiscal year 2022 and 23 sales. Analysts predicts that despite major software release such as Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom in fiscal year 23-24, the Switch won't be able to boost the sale in the same way as in a previous year though. One person tweeted out that their earnings were weak, saying that Switch's sales momentum falling at a faster pace than market expectations though. And he also pointed out that they believe that there will be no new hardware this fiscal year until March of next year, possibly though. UBS security analyst Kenji Fumakana, apologize for not saying that name correctly, believes that Nintendo's valuation is very likely to shrink until the launch of the new hardware, but also predicts that the company won't be releasing it in the next fiscal year. So we're potentially waiting beyond March 31st, 2024 for the Switch 2 Pro or new console. The uncertainty around the console sale is no surprise, as the Switch entered its 7th year on the market, which is unprecedented territory for Nintendo's home console. It's already the third best-selling system of all time and Nintendo's best-selling home console. But for the years ahead, Nintendo's first-party lineup is looking a little quiet. Besides Tears of the Kingdom's launch later this week and Pikmin 4 in July, we got no other concrete first-party release aside from the DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But knowing Nintendo, it's probably got a few surprises up its sleeve. So despite that impressive number that they showed, it's pretty clear that the Switch is kind of slowing down to a certain degree. And I'm kind of not surprised by that, though, because I do think that we may have, at this point, I think the Switch may have hit a ceiling, though. I mean, how many more Switches can you sell and everything like that? I understand Nintendo wants the Switch to go on for a long time, but there's going to be a point where it's like you might have to start talking about its successor and everything like that. As far as what their successor might be, I still think it's going to be the handheld console hybrid concept, though. I know some might disagree, but I think that we have reached, I think that's what it is going to be, though. Now, does this mean that Nintendo might have a light 2023 this holiday season, though? I would say I won't completely say no. While it's possible that Nintendo could have a light 2023 holiday season, though, I also don't want to rule out the possibility that Nintendo is known for keeping things to their chest and all. So they might have a couple of surprises up their sleeves that we just don't know about, to be exact. So I won't rule out the possibility they could have a good holiday 2023. But right now, as of this moment, though, while there are certainly some good things coming out of the financial report, obviously some bad things to be exact, though, especially missing their target and everything like that. We'll see how holiday 2023 goes, though, but I wouldn't be surprised if they now have to maybe start talking about their next system soon and all. So overall, the financial report came out, though. Very impressive with how the software sales or software side of things are, though. The Switch is still doing good, though, but obviously the thunder that it had in years past seems to be sort of dying out now, and to me it does sound like the Nintendo Switch has started to basically hit the ceiling at this point, though. So it'll be interesting to see if next year or sometime later in this year or maybe next year, if we start hearing if Nintendo starts talking about their next system beyond the Nintendo Switch and all. So we'll wait and see if that happens and all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to our fourth and final part of our My 2 Cent video, and this one has to do with a very interesting game that was basically shown that the concept looks really neat, and I'm very curious to see how this will play out, though, and that has to do with a game titled Mouse. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our fourth and final part of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at a very interesting game that was just revealed, though early in development, though, a title by the name of Mouse. Now, back in 2017, though, one of the games that popped up was a game called Cuphead that appeared on, multiple platforms, though. Basically, it was sort of a boss rush mode to some degree, but in a style of those like old 1930s or 40s cartoon and all. And this game certainly has gained a following and has become very popular. So popular that we have a Cuphead show on Netflix and all. And there have been some attempts to try to take that style and put it into, different games and all that stuff. I mean, I've heard of one idea, but some are kind of questioning, copying the style and the approach, though. Well, now we have one that was recently shown off. It basically was a Steam trailer, to be exact, and it's one that's titled Mouse. And what's interesting is that it takes the kind of art style we know from Cuphead and all, and turn it into a first-person shooter. And what they showed so far seemed to be kind of like almost like a mixture of a BioShock to a certain degree with sort of a Disney old cartoon style and all. In an article from Pure Xbox, though, it reads that, quote, Cuphead initially called attention of many back in 2017 with its unique retro cartoon graphics, and thankfully it had the side-scrolling gameplay chop to back it up. Well, a new title from Fuma, F-U-M-I Games is hoping it can capture the imagination of players in a similar fashion, but this one will med a similar visual art style with a first-person shooter. We dropped an early teaser trailer for Mouse above, though, in this article. The game very much is still a work in progress right now. Even at this early stage, this team has revealed that PC, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch are the target platform for this one, for this one, but the game release date is still very much TBA, to be announced. Something that one of the description is: join private detective John Mousen in Mouse, a gritty jazz-fueled shooter with gun blazing and a retro rubber hose animation style. Battle your way through a corrupt city full of crooks and dangers. Inspired by classic FPS and noir film, Mouth is the explosive shooter you've been waiting for. The kind of visual style is instantly eye-catching, we must admit, and we're curious to see how the action would unfold as an FPS shooter. There are shades of early Doom in this teaser trailer, which has us very excited indeed, though. Now, obviously, based on what they showed so far, it is still early in development. It's an incomplete game, though. It definitely looks like it's an early access, so we'll see how long it stays in early access or anything like that. But I will say that I definitely like the concept, though. I definitely like this retro, old-style cartoon in a first-person shooter type of approach. It's a very, very interesting concept, and one that I would like to see really turn into a full-fledged game, though. Now, whether they can execute it or not, that remains to be seen, to be exact, though. So it will be very interesting to see if this game does see the light of day or if it doesn't. And it will be very interesting to see if it does come to the platforms they are mentioning, such as PC, Xbox, and the Nintendo Switch. It will also be very interesting to see if this game does make its way over to Game Pass or not. But I will say I definitely think the concept is really neat and all, and it's definitely one that certainly has caught my attention. Yes, it's like I said, it is still early in development, so it will be some time before it officially, sees the light of day, assuming it does, though. It'll be interesting to see what changes should the final product happen, whether it remains the black and white art style, if it goes for a color kind of a style, similar to what Cuphead was, though. So time will ultimately tell, though, but I will say this one certainly has kind of caught my attention to a certain degree. So overall, I would say Mouse is certainly a very interesting title that the developers are working on, though. Whether this sees a light of day or not remains to be seen. I hope it does, because based off of the early concepts that they're showing right now, I have to say, though, I like what I am seeing right now, though, and I would definitely would be interested to see, should this happen, what the final product might look like. And if there are plans to bring it to the Nintendo Switch, that certainly is good. Especially, though, that's certainly good for those who own an Xbox and those who own a PC, since that's what they're aiming for. And it will be also very interesting to see if this game does make its way towards Game Pass or not, though. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about this rumor about Konami signing a deal with Sony to have some exclusive games that could be shown in this upcoming Sony showcase? Do you think these rumors are true? Do you think the rumors are true about the possibility of games like a Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, Castlevania, Silent Hill? Do you think these rumors are spot on and correct by any chance? What are your thoughts about the latest move by Microsoft in terms of the Microsoft Activision deal? Do you think this lawyer has a shot to overturn the CMA's decision, though, to be exact, though? Do you think the CMA is right to add further restrictions against Microsoft and Activision Blizzard, though? And do you think the EU will approve this deal, or do you think the EU will not approve it? And if they do you think we'll hear it on May 15th, or do you think we'll hear it on May 22nd, as at least according to what Reuters is saying, though? What are your thoughts about Nintendo's financial reports, though? Are you impressed that the software sales or the software sold has reached over 1,000, though? Do you think that we have reached a point where the Nintendo Switch has certainly hit the ceiling, though? And do you think it's high times for Nintendo to start talking about their next system? And finally, what are your thoughts about this new mouse like 1930s cartoon first-person shooter, though. Do you think this is a very interesting concept, though? Do you think this game will see the light of day? And if so, would it be something that you'll be interested to pick up on either PC, Xbox, or Nintendo Switch? Do you think this is a game that would fit perfectly on something like, say, Game Pass? For example, though, do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. That will be great. And I hope you subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You could do it through PayPal me, Patreon, or Steam Labs, though. Links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!